Welcome back to the What's Cooking program, the nation's food, wine, restaurant, and travel show. I'm Michael Horn. That is Paul Stern. We've got Pete Bills here ready to go. He is a sleep expert, and he is going to tell us, among other things, how to take the perfect nap. Do you have trouble sleeping, or do you just drift right off, Paul Stern?
I have a tendency to kind of drift right off. Sleeping is not my problem. Finding time to sleep sometimes can be a problem, but not getting the sleep that I need. So
perfect nap for you, because I've observed this myself, as we may be taking, let's say, we're doing a remote broadcast in Napa, California. We drive there with the broadcast equipment, and I'll be the driver, and I can watch you. You have a tendency to, when you're not driving, you kind of let the relaxation and the noise of the road hit you, and the old head starts to bob, and next thing I know, the head is like down into your throat area, and it's just like bobbing around a little bit, and you seem to get a refreshing nap, and then you wake up about maybe 10 minutes later, and you appear to be refreshed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the proper way. Let's find out here. Pete Bills, welcome to the broadcast.
Well, good to be here. You know, that nap you just described is kind of a derivative of what we call the power nap. Anything under 20 minutes has a wonderful effect on your alertness and your motor skills. Yeah, it's an amazing thing. And what's interesting about naps, you know, I've been doing research for the folks at the Sleep Number Bed Company for about 12 years, and naps is probably one of the most misunderstood aspects of our sleep strategy.
What do you mean by misunderstood?
Well, most people think that, you know, it's a waste of time, it's only for lazy people, or it'll interfere with my night sleep, so they tend not to do it. And they devalue the benefits and quality of a great nap.
Some people even actually have had like a derogatory connotation to somebody that, you know, chooses to take, you know, if you will, a nap.
Yeah, it's like you're lazy. You know, you don't do that. But we know from a lot of great research that naps increase your alertness. They make you more safe. They increase your productivity at work. So it's a very good part of a strategy. Unfortunately, most people take naps simply because they're sleep deprived. They don't get enough nighttime sleep.
So that's what I'm thinking.
Make it up, right? But what I'm talking about is, let's say you are well rested. You're getting the 7.5, 8 hours a night.
Is that what you need, 7.5 or 8 hours? I mean, some bodies take less. Am I right? I heard somebody the other day say I got too much sleep. Is there a problem with taking too much?
Well, if you actually were to look at the population, the ideal amount for the average person is 8 hours. Research clearly shows that provides the broadest spread of wellness benefits. 7 is adequate for most people. Anything less than that, you start to see some impairments in cognitive and physical performance.
Is that my problem?
Unfortunately, 20% of our population actually sleeps less than 6 hours a night now.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where we know that leads to serious health and safety.
Tom Edison used to sleep like less hours, and he used to take a lot of naps and everything, and he was a genius inventor.
Yep, and he's probably what we would call one of those outliers, but he certainly got the adequate amount of sleep per day. He just did it in a sporadic amount.
Yeah. So you're saying napping is okay, but you got to get over 6 hours of sleep. Is that correct?
Absolutely, you do. And if you are pretty well slept during the night, then you can strategically design, and listen to that word, design and create and craft a nap during the day.
Right. We had an engineer here once at CRN that was able to actually, while he was signed up and on duty, was able to curl up on the couch and work a nap in front of the TV sets that we have on in the lobby of the office.
Yeah, anytime you can catch a 20-minute or less nap, it's going to help anytime during the day. But now, listen to this example. Let's say you're a college student, or you're trying to learn something this summer, or you're a lawyer and you have to argue a case in the afternoon. Get up early, do a couple of hours of studying, and then take a late morning nap. We know that a late morning nap is full of REM sleep, or rapid eye movement sleep. It will help you with your creativity, insight, and memory, more so than if you didn't take the nap. So it absolutely prepares you for what you're doing next.
How do you know if you're getting the REM? Because I remember studying sleep, and that's the REM sleep, the rapid eye movement. How do you know when you're getting that when you're sleeping, and if you're getting the proper sleep?
Well, we know that if you nap in the morning, you are basically continuing your night's sleep, and we know that the later part of the night is full of REM sleep, so a nap in the morning will give you that. Well, let's say you're an athlete, and you work out in the morning, you go for a run in the afternoon, you have a practice golf round, and then you take that same length of nap late afternoon. Well, it's totally made up of a different kind of sleep. There's not much REM sleep in it. Now it's dominated by deep sleep or slow wave sleep, which is designed and ideal for recuperation from physical activity. So depending on when you take your nap, you can strategically design it to affect a certain part of your health and wellness that you want to. Early morning REM, late afternoon deep sleep for body. If you take a nap smack dab in the middle of the day, you get a broad spectrum. You get equal amounts of both types of sleep, and you just get a wonderful broad swath of just good, healthy sleep.
So the deep sleep is the recuperation from physical activity. That's the one that I tend to take a lot every time I hit the sack, is I then have to relax and take a deep sleep from a physical activity, if you know what I mean.
You know, just to kind of reference for those out there that aren't familiar with REM sleep, isn't that sometimes what we notice that, like, our pets, or whether our dogs or our cats, when they get into that mode where they're really taking on almost a very animated state?
They're chasing things, or their legs are moving or something, yeah.
Yes, REM sleep is characterized by body paralysis, so you don't act out your dream, but then you also twitch and twitter. So you actually have that kind of muscle twitter, and your eyes are actually moving back and forth very quickly. So
I have that.
all mammals have that. So even if you watch a baby sleep, you'll see them kind of twitter and twitch a little bit. That is REM sleep, and it usually is dominating the latter half of our sleep during the night. Early on in the night, we get a lot of the slow wave sleep. So you need a long period of 7.5 to 8 hours to get both types of sleep in there in entirety, and that's when you get the broadest spectrum of benefits.
I had that body paralysis sleep. It was like the South Pole kind of a thing, the polar night.
You know, I hate to ask a silly question. I almost feel kind of almost idiotic asking the question, but does sometimes, like, the type of bed that you have kind of make a difference as to the kind of the ability to get a good night's sleep?
There is, and it's one of the most difficult pieces of furniture to buy. The bed is, and again, that's what I research most of the time, is the bedroom, and that's what led to the development of the Sleep Number bed, where you could adjust it to whatever you want.
Does that work? Does that Sleep Number thing actually work?
Yeah, it absolutely does. And if you really look at the average couple, especially in America, they're very, very different. Different height, different weight. They sleep in different positions. They have different weight distributions.
I like to sleep on this the same number, if you know what I mean. I'm kind of a same number kind of guy.
Yeah, well, it's amazing how anybody who are that different can sleep on a mattress that's identical on both sides. Again, that's what led to the development.
I'll tell you, it can be done.
Yep, it's
not
terrific.
that I'm bragging, but I'm saying.
I'm going to go ahead and write this one down, the Sleep Number bed, because I've seen a lot of these, like, whether they be the local paper advertisements or the commercials on TV. I've even seen, like, a TV thing where they balance a wine glass.
Oh, I've seen that.
And they jump on the other side. I don't know if that has anything.
Does that really work? Yeah.
I know, but does that have anything to do with getting a good night's sleep?
Well, that's actually another type of bed, but what they're illustrating there also is in the Sleep Number bed. It's when you move on one side of the bed, you don't feel it on the other side. So if you're sleeping with someone who's got a very different schedule than you do, or they get in and out of bed a lot, or they turn around a lot, you don't want to feel that on your side of the bed. So that's what they're illustrating with that. But there's a lot of good beds that do that. The Sleep Number bed does, because it's like two beds in one. You're actually two individual beds within one mattress. So it's kind of a cool way to sleep. But,
how can we get more information? What's the website there, Pete Bills, where we can find out about the sleep expert information and the Sleep Number bed and all that stuff?
You can go to sleepnumber.com. And,
sleepnumber.com, okay.
Sleepnumber.com. I have a research tab on there where I post papers on all sorts of sleep issues, whether you have problems sleeping because of heat, whether you have problems sleeping because of allergies or pain. We have sleep solutions for all those.
We're going to have you back. This is good. I like this, because this is common to everybody, is good sleep over there. Thanks for being with us. Pete Bills, he's going to be a regular on the show. I like napping, and we're finding about allergies and stuff and heat. That'll be good. If you'd like to write to us here at CRN Digital Talk,